This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.
Welcome to episode 47 of Paranormal Dads. I'm your co-host, Eddie.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Pat.
Please join us as we go in search of the world's monsters, myths, and mysteries right here on Paranormal Dads.
Welcome, everybody, to a brand new edition of our show. We hope you've been eagerly anticipating this episode. And as it gets closer to Halloween, all of us, I think, are in the mood for a good creepy ghost story or two. And funny thing, guys, you know, I make my living as a psychic, and I'm sitting here in my home office with a room full of boxes, packed boxes. I'm moving into my new home on the 22nd. And wouldn't you know it, I packed my microphone. So I was using my intuition to play which box is the microphone in. And
it's kind of like those cup games where you put the ball under the cup and try to figure out which cup the ball is hiding under.
It's here. Yeah.
Yeah, keep your eye on the microphone.
But alas, I found it. Little psychic humor there.
Nice. How many boxes did it take before you found the one?
Three, 4. You know, so I had to retape the boxes, but I found it. And then the problem was I couldn't find the right pair of headphones with the right kind of jack to plug into the computer. So thankfully, my daughter's best friend lives right across the street. So I texted her mom and I was like, "Hey, do you have a pair of headphones? I'm about to go do my podcast here in 2 minutes." And so again, intuitive, perhaps, common sense, not so much tonight. So, but anyway, we're here, we're back. And
the story was jacked up, Andy. Hey, I'm here all night, kids.
We bring the dad jokes.
Yay.
Well, hey guys, I'm on the first segment today. I am on recent sightings. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
I'm very ready. Let's go.
Okay, so for recent sightings, for the first time ever, perhaps, I have a truly recent sighting. Very recent. As recent as 2 days ago.
What? Hot and fresh.
And now I have to purposefully omit some of the details as far as who and where, simply because it was a friend of mine who reached out. And I will just say that this is a person who is a first responder. I will not say in what capacity or what part of the city. But she told me that 2 days ago, her coworkers were responding to a call from a older lady who had reported that the night before she had attempted to go outside. I don't know if she was going to let her dog outside or what have you, but it was dark. She stopped dead in her tracks because on the way out of her house, she saw a hand or an arm in the doorway. So okay. I assume maybe this was leading out to a porch. Mm. She saw a shadowy arm, and it terrified her so much so that she locked the doors, closed the windows. She basically said, "I'm not going anywhere until morning time." So morning comes, she calls the emergency number, and units respond, and they check the place out. Couldn't really find anything, although they did say that this lady was genuinely frightened. Furthermore, she didn't seem emotionally unstable or anything like this. She seemed legit scared of something that she saw with her own eyes in the doorway. Yeah. So they did a perimeter search, couldn't find anything. And as all the emergency vehicles were finally leaving her house going down the street, there was apparently a dark figure. I think it was a hooded figure, a dark, shadowy figure on the side of the road that had the audacity to turn its head and stare at the emergency vehicles going by. And then when they went by, this being started quickly walking towards them as if it was chasing the emergency vehicles. These are brave people, the bravest of the brave, in the entire city. And my friend said that the coworkers were terrified to their very core. One of them said that the figure seemed evil. It was giving off an evil vibe. Another one said that it was giving off a vibe almost like the Grim Reaper. It gave them anxiety. It gave them goosebumps. They kept driving. And as suspicious as this character looked, they didn't go back to question him, or should I say it. They just kept going. And makes you wonder if that was, the shadowy creature in the doorway that the lady saw the night before.
Oh my gosh!
But if police officers and EMTs and firefighters and people of that caliber are afraid just by the very sight of somebody standing on the side of the street, like, I'm out of there, man. That's it.
Did you get a fix on how large this creature was, or how tall, how short?
Well, that's the downside of a sighting this recent. I'm asking for more details from my friend. I think she's been busy, and I haven't got the additional scoop on but she was asking for my take on what it could be. The good old ask the psychic game.
Exactly.
And sometimes I don't know the answer, because that's in the realm of, it could be a ghost, it could be what some people call a shadow person, which is essentially just another type of a ghost.
Yeah.
Evil, was it somebody, was it just a person wandering through the neighborhood dressed in a black hoodie? Was it somebody that was dressed as the Grim Reaper as a early Halloween prank?
Yeah.
I think it crosses that barrier. It's all fun and games until you truly frighten a sweet little old lady, inside of her home. That, I think that's taking it too far.
Right.
For sure.
I was gonna say my first inclination would be to run it over with my car.
You've been playing too much Grand Theft Auto, right?
I'm like, ooh, it's a shadowy figure. I'm gonna run it over with my car.
So is it 88 miles per hour at 1.21
88 miles an hour. I'm gonna run it over with my tires. It's like that bottle trick when you and your kid, you're like, hey, look, Daddy's gonna hit the bottle in the road.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great idea. It sounds like a great idea until you drive right through the thing.
That's my point. Yeah, it possesses you.
Yeah.
The car.
No amount of tread is going to take down that beast.
There are no firestones for that. There's nothing.
What's interesting though is again, I'm going back to the credibility of the witnesses based on the fact that they're trained observers, they're logical people, they are cool under pressure. They have to be because of the nature of their job. And I'm kind of stumped as to how just one glance at this being on the side of the road was enough to terrify them. These are people who are used to running into burning buildings and arriving on the scene of car accidents and whatnot. So whatever energy, you get into the intuitive realms here, but whatever energy that being was putting out must have been pretty terrible,
Oh yeah. I mean, these are people who are trained to be able to discern details really quickly. So for them to be like, that's not a hobo with a bathrobe on. I've seen that before. That's not a wayward Eddie lost roaming the streets. That's a demon.
Yeah. So again, maybe we could do a follow-up to this story again, after I am able to have the time to gather some more pertinent details. But I tell you what, reading it gave me the chills, just reading the text that my friend sent me. So, again, I can't tell you what part of the city it was in, but it was recent. And so anyway, if you're driving at night, be careful. Look right, look left. Be sure that
stop.
Don't stop.
Just keep going.
Pedal to the metal, people. So possible Grim Reaper sighting in Omaha. You heard it here first.
Hey, before we kick off of recent sightings, I thought I'd share a few recent emails we got from people. These are actually like Facebook posts, but I know it's been a while, and I just want to give a shout out to all our friends who have still clamored for us to get back to doing what we do. We love doing this. This year has just really kind of thrown us because we actually got together earlier this week, the three of us, and that's the first time the three of us have been together this year in person, right?
In person, yeah.
Andy, I think you and I were together for like the Super Bowl or something, and I saw Eddie a few times.
Yep.
But the stars were just not aligning this year. So it's been a rough year, but I do appreciate all the people who are still reaching out to us, and thank you for your patience. And I just want to share a couple of these emails we got. This is from David. He says, David in Australia, he says, "Hi, Dads. Hope all your family members are in good health and safe. Aussies are praying to many gods for the safety of America in this time. Can't wait to hear from the team again. Until then, be safe, Dads." So thank you, David. We appreciate that.
Thanks, David.
Good old Dave.
And then Ryan reached out and he said, "Have you checked out Sax Squatch?"
I've seen that. The guy in the forest.
This is a guy who dresses up like Bigfoot and plays the sax in the woods. And he just plays all these, pretty memorable saxophone tunes and just popular songs. And he says you should absolutely check out his Facebook page. And he also asks, do we still have shirts available? And that would be Eddie's domain. Eddie?
Yes, we do. Actually, we make them to order, just like hot biscuits. I'm not making hot biscuits and letting them sit around. We make these suckers fresh. So yeah, place your orders. Do that through the Facebook Messenger to us or through email, and we can place the order for you and order the shirt. Pretty much we're sticking to like the charcoal gray, I think, right now, because the other green they had was like a day glow lime. Leave it to the colorblind guy to pick the wrong green. Like that looks good, and it's like blinding people.
Looks like a glow stick.
It's a glow stick. Get it, do it. So yeah, we're sticking to the charcoal gray, but they have sweatshirts, t-shirts, and hoodies. If you're feeling all hooded up, if you want to look like the angel of death, walking the streets of Omaha, we can get you a hoodie as well.
So Ryan, keep listening to Sax Squatch and reach out to us on Messenger on Facebook. Let us know what you're looking for, and we'll see what we can do to get an order together for you. Finally, I just want to share this. It was actually an image that Nathan sent us. It's of nothing. It's of a sweatshirt, no less. It says Dad Squatch, the man, the myth, the Squatchologist. So that's a shirt I think we need to be rocking those threads right there. It says Dad Squatch, and the dad's in the big white letters, and there's kind of a Sasquatch logo in the middle of the A. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
So we'll have to throw that on the website. But so thank you everybody for reaching out, and it's good to be back.
Yep, it's great to be back. And moving forward, we're going to start cranking these episodes out fairly regularly again, just like we've always done. So speaking of memorabilia, we have a little group text going between Eddie, Pat, and myself. And the other day, Eddie texted us a shirt. It's 2 UFOs in the desert that are sucking up cows through their laser beams. And Eddie was like, "Check out what I got, boys." And I was like, "Hey, I have that same shirt in purple."
Yeah. So we match. We should coordinate.
That's what happens when you're a paranormal dad. You slowly accumulate all these weird T-shirts throughout the years, and my whole closet's filled with that kind of stuff. So wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, and it serves as a proper for all of y'all that are single out there. It serves as a proper filtering tool too, because then there's the opposite sex might see that and be like, "That's weird." Then you already know. You've already filtered out. Move along.
But if it's somebody cool with potential, it's a conversation starter.
Exactly.
Right.
There you
go.
I
do have an alien shirt. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, next segment rather is Pat's, I believe, and it's pop culture and the paranormal.
And here we go.
It's time for pop culture and the paranormal.
We're back, and thought tonight we'll talk a little Halloween because Halloween's coming up fast and furious.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, what would be a good way to get everybody ready for Halloween? And since you can't be going out to haunted houses and pumpkin patches, at least not real safely yet, I was thinking, what's coming to Netflix for Halloween 2020? So it's worth noting Netflix rarely picks up a lot of the great older horror movies because other distributors like to hold those for this time of the year.
Yeah.
But they do have quite a bit of original content and some of the classics as well that they're promoting for Netflix. One of them is called The Worst Witch, Season 4. It's billed as a popular, albeit unappreciated kids series with a Halloween flavor, and it will be returning for the 4th season. Unfortunately for this season, Bella Ramsey, who was not involved in the show, but it's based on a novel. The British series follows Mildred Hubble, who moves to witch school. So that sounds a lot like a Harry Potter kind of a
it does
kind of a show.
I've actually been watching this one with my daughter, Pat.
Oh, have you?
Oh yeah,
so
she's
it's good
into
enough for the little kids. This
Oh yeah, and my daughter's 6. Yeah, Sky's 6. It's very much kid friendly. It there's some, it's Harry Potter-esque, but in their defense, I don't think they're trying to copy it or rip it off or anything. It's a unique storyline, but yeah, it's very, I'd say it's very PG.
Okay, next we've got one. This is actually coming from Norway. It's called Cadaver, and this is set to be released October 22nd on
That's
Netflix.
heavy metal sounding.
Yeah.
Cadaver.
It's directed and written by Gerard Herdal. This Norwegian film is set in the aftermath of a nuclear disaster.
It is metal. It's totally metal, Ian.
We'll follow 3 survivors who were attending a charitable event at the time, and one by one, people start to disappear. So that sounds
like
kind of interesting.
Kind of sounds like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I don't know, I think it's also on Netflix.
You probably heard of this one, Hubby Halloween.
It's
now
Hubie.
on Netflix. Oh, is it Hubie? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I watched it last night.
Is that Adam Sandler one?
It's
Yeah,
Adam
it is.
Sandler, yeah.
It's either going to be great or awful. Which was it, Eddie?
It's a little both.
So
But
it features a huge cast, including the likes of Julie Brown, Steve Buscemi, I'm saying that, Rob Snyder, Kevin James, Maya Rudolph, and Stranger Things Noah Snap. Of course, true horror of Hubie Halloween will be down to your preference of Adam Sandler movies. So I'm actually kind of a Adam Sandler fan. I tend to like his movies for the most part.
Yeah, I liked Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, and kind of in more recent years is kind of hit or miss with some of those movies. But when I saw it on Netflix the other night, and I was thinking about giving it a watch, so
there's a lot of
check that out.
It's fun. It's more fun than not, in my opinion. But I'm also really forgiving to anything that tries to be funny. But there's a lot of nods to old Adam Sandler movies in it, between casting and a lot of like cameos and one-liners that they throw out. So you got to keep your eyes peeled, or your ears and eyes peeled, for those things, because it's kind of fun little Halloween Easter eggs hidden in there.
Right.
Isn't Steve Buscemi and Rob Snyder in all of his movies basically?
Pretty much.
You got to respect it too. It's like he rounded up all his best buddies and he just recast them in most of his movies.
Also, Pat, is your list done, or do you have another one on your list?
Oh, I've got a few more, but yeah.
There might be one. I don't know. If it's like The Haunting of Bly Manor. Is that on there?
It's not one that I picked out. But tell us about it.
So last year came out called The Haunting of Hill House. Came out on Netflix, and it was an episodic short season, one season show featuring this house that was haunting. It was a haunted house this family moved into, but it also basically followed the family around, and it showcases how each member of the family experienced different ghost encounters and what it did and meant to them, for them in the house. So it's a really it's probably one of the scariest things I've seen. And so they did a follow-up season to it, but they decided to switch it up, and it's still a haunted house story, but it's called The Haunting of Bly Manor now. So it's not even called Hill House.
And I went back and looked, and sure enough, there it is. It's The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Yeah. So that is live today, October 9th. So yeah, you can check that out. It looks scary as all heck. You'll pee yourself. Where your put a tarp on the couch.
Where your depends.
Exactly.
So another one of my favorite old series was Unsolved Mysteries. So Netflix is releasing volume 2 of Unsolved Mysteries. This is actually, I think, the reboot of it.
I think it is. Yeah.
So yeah, it was confirmed for a second season. Netflix believes this one will dominate the most watched list around the spooky season.
Dominate.
You
know, I watched bits and pieces of the first season of that one, and I was really psyched about it. I think they're easing their way into the paranormal with this show.
They really are.
Because all the ones that I saw, it was murder mystery, it was missing persons cases, it was things like that. I think the very last episode of the season was a UFO related one. Yeah. But other than that, it was all just kind of like cold cases and stuff like that. So don't be surprised if they come out, sprinkling in a little bit more Sasquatch and maybe Mothman, stuff like that next time around. I think they didn't want to lose some of their core demographic by making, because if you want to see a lot of the paranormal like the weirdest of the weird, like Travel Channel, dude, like they should change the name Travel Channel to the Paranormal Channel, because that's all it is.
That's
all day long.
Yeah. Yeah, they gave up. They're like, nope, it's all paranormal programming. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done. People have seen enough traveling. You want to go to travel to Rome? Watch something else. Yeah. Alien abductions. I guess it's travel technically.
Yeah, technically, just because each story takes place in a different state, you learn a little geography as the show goes on.
Listen, if I got backhanded by Bigfoot's hairy knuckles and thrown over his shoulder and carried off into the wilderness, that's travel. That's travel.
It's a form of travel.
Exactly. He travels.
So it's getting abducted, right?
Right.
Because you don't know where they're going to set you back down at. It might be in a different state, missing time.
The ultimate travel destination.
Geography.
Ooh.
So I got one more here for Netflix that kind of stood out to me. It's called Rebecca. It starts October 21st. And this is kind of a period drama. It's they say fans of period dramas will love this new adaptation of Daphne du Maurier's chilling, iconic novel. After a whirlwind affair, a young woman marries a wealthy widower. But when she moves into his country estate, Manderley, she quickly realizes that her home and their marriage are haunted by the memory of his dead wife, Rebecca.
Oh,
so that sounds fun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So that's it, man. You go stepping on the turf of a ghost and, bad things tend to happen.
But the great thing about cutting the cable and just using streaming services like we do in our house, you could go off Netflix and go somewhere else like Disney Channel, and they have their own lineup of holiday type stuff. Like last night I watched The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Yes,
so
look at you.
Basically, the wind in the willows is the Mr. Toad story. And that one I didn't do a whole lot for me, but I just love the old 1949 classic of Ichabod Crane, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Yep.
It's narrated by Bing Crosby. And he hit a lot of comedy, kind of like physical comedy by Ichabod riding his horse and getting chased by the headless horseman. It's a lot of fun.
That was still scary as a kid. You remember that? See
that? Oh yeah.
Green fire coming out of it. You're like, oh, why is that fire green? What's going on?
We went to Disney World a few years back. probably many years back now, but and went to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, and they had, they have this huge parade, and the person who heads that parade is the headless horseman, and you see him coming down, through the shadows, there in Disney World, and
it's
it's
cool.
creepy. But it's one of my greatest memories of Disney World was watching the headless horseman strut on by. So
Yep, I was there a little over a year ago myself, Pat, and it was the same thing. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween, and yeah, it's ironic that the head of the parade is the headless horseman.
Right.
It's pretty sweet that you can hear the hooves galloping down the cobblestone street, and it's cool, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's really cool. But anyway, a quick shout out in one of my favorite, and I'm not a scary movie buff necessarily. I think Eddie handles the scaries a little bit better than me and Pat. But for my money, one of the scariest movies I've ever seen is called 1408. It has John Cusack, and terrifying. You're in for a wild psychological mind bender if you watch that one. But I would recommend it if you like to be scared, because it'll chill you to the core. 1408.
Yeah. You guys mentioned the different apps. Also on Disney Plus, kind of a comedy, but it still is a ghost story. It's called Blackbeard's Ghost, and it's like a classic like Disney comedy. It's like the late 60s, I want to say, but that's a fun one too for the family. Not for the family. There's another talk about streaming apps. Because of this quarantine stuff, I've been driving way less. And I actually changed my insurance. I've been driving so much less that I got a mileage discount on my insurance. This is not an insurance commercial, although I will say Geico is an amazing company. Plug. No. So I decided, hey, with some of my savings, I'm going to add another streaming app or two just to give myself some choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, you burn through stuff kind of quick. And instead of like buying movies, I was like, I'll just add a couple of apps, and then once I get the juice out of them, I'll dump them and be done with it.
But squeeze those lemons.
Squeeze these Netflix lemons and Apple TV limes. I added one. It's not for kids, but it's a streaming app called Shudder, if anybody's heard of it. And it's specific Shudder, like shaking, not like the things you cover your windows with.
Right.
And it's specifically meant for like scary movies and like scary entertainment. And it's all centered around that, which I thought that's really niche, right? Like that's kind of crazy. But there is a lot on there. But if you're a fan of the video game Skyrim, which I know Pat is,
yes,
they have a movie on there I think it's called Headhunter. And it's almost like set right into the world of Skyrim. It's like this ancient fantasy like knight barbarian guy that's being chased down by these goblins and like demons, and he's having to fight them off in the forest. And there's no dialogue in the whole movie.
Oh, really? That sounds fun.
At first, it sounds like it's like not entertaining, but after a while, you're just compelled.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah, the whole time you're like.
Some of those Disney short films don't have any dialogue either, but it's an emotional roller coaster. So yeah, exactly. you can get sucked into a story with no words.
Yeah. So do not watch that with the kids. I can't say that enough. But if you're an adult and you like scary stuff, check it out. They have like a 7-day free trial, something like that. Anyway.
And one more I forgot to mention that Andy mentioned Disney shorts, Mater and the Ghost Light. You ever see Mater and the Ghost Light?
No, but I know Mater.
Like Tow Mater from
Cars.
Yeah.
There's a short on there called Mater and the Ghost Light. So it's basically Mater goes to a party one night in town, and Doc tells a spooky story about the ghost light that haunts the roads around Carville or wherever it is that they live. And so on his ride home, he's thinking about this, almost kind of a Sleepy Hollow kind of theme to it. And it's a lot of fun though.
So there you go. Watch 1408, get yourself nice and terrified, and then you cool down with the Tow Mater and the Ghost Light. Eddie looks like he had something else.
I had one more, but it was there's a Toy Story one too. That's like a Halloween themed one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I forget what they call, but you can type in Toy Story and it'll all pop up, and Go nuts.
I think it's like Toy Story Terror, Toy Story
the
of Terror.
the Toy of Terror or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And Mandalorian starts October 30th, by the way.
Oh,
he just did a mic drop. Boom. He just had
this is the way. This is the way, Pat.
This is the way.
Good segment, Pat. Thanks, man.
And now it's time for the main mystery.
Well, I hope you guys are comfy, tucked in, got your blankets wrapped around you. Pat, you ready?
I'm ready.
Andy, are you ready to go?
Well, I wish I had my cat or my dog in here to cuddle me because I have a feeling this is going to get creepy really quickly.
It's going to be a little scary. So right before Halloween, we're going to dive into some actual Salem scary stories from Salem, Massachusetts. Known for its witch trials, which, it's kind of sad when you think about it, because basically it was a way to suppress people they didn't like.
Yeah.
But there is some crazy paranormal stuff reported, talked about, and, stories handed down now through generations that we've gotten off of our friends off the occultmuseum.com. Not taking credit where credit's due. Check them out, the occultmuseum.com. But some stories here. I'm going to share, I'll share 3. If we look like we want to throw one more in there, we can. We'll start off with the witch house. Which one? Which one? That one. The witch. Okay, sorry.
Who's on first? What?
What? Who? What? Here we go. The Jonathan Corwin House, also known as the Witch House, can be found at 310 Essex Street. The last standing structure with direct ties to the Salem witch trials was home to Judge Jonathan Corwin. He was a local magistrate that became central to the trials, taking over when Judge Nathaniel Saltonstall, that's a name, resigned in protest over the trying and sentencing of Bridget Bishop to death. Far from abating the hysteria surrounding the trials, Corwin helped renew the panic, sending a further 19 people to the gallows. He's like, I'll do you one better. Corwin says, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Corwin first acquired the structure from a Richard Davenport in 1675, though it may be a few decades older. 1675.
Yeah, you hear about dates like that more so in Europe, but not around the United States so much.
Yeah, that's old.
That's 100 years before the Revolution.
Yeah.
Dude. The house remained in Corwin's family until the mid-1800s. It was already almost 200 years old by the time. After which it received little attention beyond being moved in the 1940s to make space for a widened street. Can't stop progress.
Yeah, right.
As a museum in the McIntyre Historic District, the Corwin House was restored to its 17th century appearance and today features self-guided tours. In particular, visitors who visit the house regularly report in cold spots, disembodied voices, and experience being touched by unseen hands. That is the witch house.
Sounds like a harassment case waiting to happen there.
Like ghost! No means no. Leave me alone.
310 Essex Street.
310 Essex Street.
I'm thinking, someday, hopefully this pandemic will run its course and travel becomes a little easier. I'm thinking the Paranormal Dads might need to take a trip out there to do some live recordings there in Salem.
I would say yes.
That would be awesome, hitting the East Coast, because there's so much in such a small area,
Oh yeah, you got a haunted battlefield here. You got a creepy bed and breakfast there. What's Maine, Connecticut, Rhode Island? We'll just hit it all.
Go up into the mountains, do some squatching.
Oh yeah, because they got that too. Yeah, a little bit of everything. Little bit of everything.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
By the way, funny side tangent. My daughter Sky actually has a black cat named Salem.
Oh, really?
This cat, the coolest cat in the whole world. It was a feral outdoor cat, and a year and 3 days ago wandered into my driveway and never left. And it was just such a friendly cat. We kept it, we adopted it, and the cat stays over at her mom's house. And yeah, but the cat's name's Salem. Black cat, found it in Halloween, right around Halloween time. And what's cooler than that? So
that's a cool name too.
Yeah.
It is.
Speaking of cool names, this house has a pretty cool name. The House of the Seven Gables.
Ooh. So this is the second story?
Yes.
House of the Seven Gables. It sounds familiar.
It does.
Here we go. Let's
Doesn't
see.
it?
This colonial mansion started as a 2-room, 2.5-story house. How is it 2.5 stories? What's going on? Huh?
You know what, Andy? I think we're thinking of Anne of Green Gables.
That's what we're thinking. That's it.
Yeah. These gables ain't green. They're red.
They're blood red. No, 2.5 stories. So it's like 2 stories, and then there's like one extra room that just pokes out the top like a top hat.
You're hunched over. A 2.5-story house in 1667, again with the 1600s, for Captain John Turner. But it achieved fame with Nathaniel Hawthorne's The House of the Seven Gables. After Captain John Turner died at sea, was passed on to his children. Over 3 generations of the Turner family went on to live in the house, remodeling and adding to the structure until John Turner III eventually lost the family fortune. John, you had one job.
Yeah.
Don't lose the family fortune. And sold the mansion in the early 1900s to the Ingersolls, who soon set about removing much of the Turners' previous work, including the gables and porches. By the time Hawthorne came to visit his cousin, Susanna Ingersoll, who inherited the mansion from her father, little remained of the original structure. Thanks to the popularity of the fictional counterpart, the House of the Seven Gables became a local landmark and later museums and settlement houses. Many visitors have reported seeing Susanna walking the halls and peering through windows. Other phenomenon includes odd sounds, and a cheerful child's spirit is said to haunt the attic.
What is it about ghost kids that makes the whole ghost phenomena that much more creepy?
And they like to play in the attic.
I'll tell you, what's it with the attic? I swear.
You know, it's like you hear the little pitter patter of those little footsteps, and you hear like a marble rolling across the floor. I don't know, man. Ghost kids. I feel like I don't know. It's like next level.
It's
I
sad.
like my ghost a good old fashioned ghost. I like my ghost to be old people. You know,
I'm with the librarian from Ghostbusters. Am I right, Pat? That's what I want.
Yeah.
Back in our day, ghosts were old ladies.
Exactly. Give me them old lady ghosts. And last, but certainly not least, it would not be a haunted structure story if we didn't have the Danvers State Hospital. This gothic
hospitals.
This is how it starts too. I'll even show you guys. I'll show it on the video. Look at that photo of that sucker. Can you guys even see that? Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Scurry. Here we go. This gothic style psychiatric hospital.
Gothic and psychiatric. Those two things are just made for each other.
This thing looks like Arkham Asylum from Batman. Was built in 1874 and opened its doors 4 years later. It has had many names. State Lunatic Hospital. That's less catchy.
that's not PC.
It doesn't pop. There's no pop.
Welcome to our building, you lunatic.
Welcome to the old SLH. What's that stand for? State Lunatic Hospital. What's up?
You're driving down the interstate, you see one of those green signs. State Lunatic Hospital, next right.
Lunatic? What's lunatic mean?
Times have changed.
Also, Danvers State Insane Asylum. Not much better.
Not much better.
And finally, the much more appropriate Danvers State Hospital. The campus was set just 10 miles from Salem in Danvers, Massachusetts, and sprawls over 77 acres. Man, they like to hog up land on these things.
At least it's not 666 acres.
Ooh, the worst number for acres.
But that's a good chunk of land, though. That's a big piece of property.
With the central facilities atop Hawthorne Hill, which takes its name from the land's former owner, notorious judge Jonathan Hawthorne. There he's back. He's back again. The hospital's reliance upon barbaric and often lethal treatments led to a terrifying reputation, and get this, it inspired H.P. Lovecraft's Arkham Asylum and DC comics
There
Arkham
you go.
Asylum in the Batman mythos.
There you go.
So there you go. I wasn't so far off.
You weren't far off at all.
Little remains of the hospital today as a residential company purchased and demolished almost the entire campus, including the historic Kirkbridge building. After removing several buildings, here we go, Andy, its construction trailers strangely caught fire.
Darn thing just caught fire.
One day it was fine, next day it's burning. Destroying the new developments and the Kirkbride in a blaze that could be seen as far away as Boston.
Wow.
It's wicked. It's a wicked bad fire there. It's a wicked bad.
Wicked bad. How you like them apples?
Cook some freaking lobster on it, eh?
Only the administration building's brick shell remained, along with the hospital's cemeteries and blocked network of tunnels, because what haunted asylum would not be complete without tunnels? After completing much of the development, the company oddly put the property up for sale, giving more credence to a potential curse upon the property. There you go.
I wonder what. So they sold the property.
They sold it the minute they got done demolishing.
They bought it. They tore it all down. They sold it.
And now there's a Starbucks there, haunted Starbucks.
You know, there's a haunted Starbucks there.
Yeah, I suppose
everything catches on fire. They put the coffee out the drive-through and it catches on fire. Ah,
hey, that's normal. Don't worry about it.
Give me my
venti lava. Well, here's a food for thought, or I'm just throwing this out there for people to think about and marinate on. So you have this haunted establishment, whether it's a house, building, bridge, what have you. If you tear that down and haul away the debris, if just a few stones or rocks or pebbles of that haunted facility remains, do you think there's energy that's stuck to it? Almost like it doesn't matter if you demolish it, because all the energy, all the vibes, all the creepiness, can be contained within one little grain of sand from that facility. So, I mean, Some people do subscribe to that thought that, objects can hold energy like that. That's why, you hear of these antique stores that, people bring a antique radio or a chandelier or whatever home from an antique store, and it's haunted because of the energy that's stuck on that object. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Like, yeah, if you have a haunted house and that house gets taken down to nothing, would the location be haunted now, or is it just kind of dissipate the whole thing? That's a good point.
Does all the hauntedness go to the dump or wherever it is? They take all the...
And then the dump becomes
off the land.
Haunted. It's a haunted dump.
Listen, have you been to a dump? they kind of they're a little haunted.
They're frightening for sure. Usually it's the big trucks driving around that I feel like they're going to roll over me.
Yeah,
I'm pulling stuff out of the back of my SUV, and here comes this land mover.
Yeah, Pat will get turned into a ghost.
Yeah,
at the dump.
Ghost Pat.
Yeah, and it's you hear about that a lot when people remodel or start to tear something down. How you'll whip something up real quick.
Oh yeah, there's nothing that gets the ghost irritated a little bit, especially if it's a kind of ghost who's attached to the physical location. Grandpa Bob, who built the place with his bare hands over the course of 30 years, and then the place gets sold to a new family. They renovate. Bob's irritated because he liked things how it was.
Yep.
Probably not up to code, but he liked the house how it was. Start messing with rooms and in the layout. Yeah, you can really disturb some ghostly presence there.
Yeah. What about Bob? Don't be baby goat steps down the stairs. Don't be playing with it.
Very haunted part of the country, though. Thanks for those little tidbits, Eddie. That's
a little sneak peek. I mean, we're gonna do one more before Halloween, so it's a little teaser before we get into some more spooky stuff.
There you go.
All right. And as we always say, listeners, if you have a suggestion for a future topic or main mystery that you'd like us to dive into and cover, just email us, reach out to us on social media. We're always willing to take suggestions.
Heck yeah, man. Anything that, especially for like recent sightings too, man, like anything you guys have experienced, let us know. In fact, we didn't do it this time, but maybe we have one in the queue. We have a recent that happened with one of our friends, good friend of the show, Billy Peck, which I got the verbal thumbs up to share this bone-chilling video. I won't ruin it, but it's nuts. So yeah, whatever happens to you, share with us, please.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and we're at www.paranormaldads.com.
Yes.
All right. Feel free to pass this podcast along to any friends and family who are looking for something a little bit family friendly but creepy this holiday season. You know, it's funny, holiday season. I get Halloween season. It is kind of like a holiday to us, though.
I think it gets bigger every year.
Yeah, it does. Halloween has taken over a lot of things.
It does. And, you know, it's funny, though, in a world of social media and you know, digital this and that, it's funny how word of mouth is still huge in terms of letting other people know about cool podcasts, you know. So feel free to pass this along to anybody who might enjoy it. And thanks so much for listening. And as always, we want to give a shout out to the people at freesound.org for providing us some sound bites and music for today's episode.
Awesome.
Hey, it was great to talk to you guys again.
Good seeing you guys,
Let's
too.
do this more.
Yeah.
Let's do this again. Until next time, everybody. We'll catch you then.
We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Paranormal Dads. And my brain just died already. I forgot how we even do this.
It's been a while. Bye.